The way we started in the early 2000s, and I started farming. In my previous life, I was a turnaround specialist, which headed up at a certain point of time. I headed up my own turnaround team, where we went around to fix companies that had financial problems. And then in 1999, I decided to start my own business. And in 2000, I started the farming operation. Just after my brother passed away, I started with a dorperstoet. But very soon I realized, because of the crime situation that was escalating, as well as predator that escalated, I couldn't farm successfully long distance from Johannesburg down to Carlsberg with the predators and the crime. So I very soon started to experiment with cattle. I tested various cattle breeds and evaluated them in terms of profitability. The Tuli breed came out tops, and that's how I started with the Tulis. In around about 2006, I started with a stud. And I was fortunate to be advised by a guy by the name of Stefan van Wyk, the late Stefan van Wyk. Unfortunately, he passed away recently. He was my mentor, because at that stage in time I didn't know much about cattle farming. And the first question, when I told Stefan I was contemplating stud farming, he asked me the question, Christo, what do you want to achieve with your stud? And that got me thinking, what do I want to achieve, and what's my mission for my Tuli stud? And the next morning, when I woke up, I went to Stefan. I said, Stefan, I know what I want to achieve with my Tuli stud. I want to breed the most profitable cattle for the Karoo. Because in terms of the environment factors changing with crime and predators and the challenges with sheep farming, there's going to be a lot more focus on cattle farming in our Karoo. Now the old farmers, they very quickly told me that, son, two things. One, the Karoo is not a place for cattle to farm. And secondly, your farm is a very harsh farm. Your farm is not suited for a stud farm. If you want a stud farm, go find yourself another farm. But I believe, work with what you've got. And I started with looking into the Tulis, and Stefan van Wyk mentored me to what to buy. Now I must say that the figures that you get, even from those days and today, even much more sophisticated, the blood figures that is showed on all the stud catalogs help you extremely a lot to buy profitable cattle and to buy cattle that will really excel in your environment and on your particular farm. So from early days, I utilized the blood figures on the catalogs, and also taking into account, because I didn't know what to buy at that point in time. Do you buy small? Do you buy big? Do you buy? And what we used to do, Stefan would look phenotypically, and I would look at the figures, and when the two met, those were the cattle that I bought. The bad part is that those cattle always were the most expensive on all the auctions, so I had to to make huge capital investment in those genetics which I started out with in those days. And then we excelled. The Tuli really performed for me in this harsh Karoo environment. The Tuli proved itself. We went through the worst drought, 8-year drought in the history of our area. And the Tuli always surprised me in terms of the results which we achieved. I couldn't believe the results. Having a pregnancy ratio of 94%. When my vet comes in and do the pregnancy test and it comes out 94%, he just shook his head and said, "Christo, I've never ever seen that before." And then the winning ratio of having a 92% winning ratio of the cows that went to the bulls is incredible. And that through a time period where we're in the midst of an 8-year extreme drought. I couldn't believe it. And then to have a wean ratio, my average for my cows wean ratio life to date is in excess of 50%. I always get tears in my eyes when those cows bring those weaners down from the mountain, and we wean those calves, and the weights are above 50% on average. Incredible, incredible. And how they climb those mountains, look after those calves, raise those calves, and get pregnant again. Incredible. So they always pleasantly surprise me, and I'm very, very, very satisfied with the Tuli breed. My Tulis have helped me to went on and purchase quite a few extra farms over the years, and we've grown, and we are fortunate in a situation where we can now sell our genetics towards other commercial farmers and also some stud farmers. Performance record keeping is the base of stud farming. You can't manage what you don't measure. Right from the start, I developed my own database in terms of performance, and even though I duplicate all the information that we send in to Logix, and I have to replicate all the information from my own database. My own database helps me to mine my data and information about my animals and their performance. For example, I can get the detail from every cow, from her birth, right through every calf she had, what bull did she mate with, what the performance are of all the different calves that she has bred over the years, how many bull calves, how many female calves, the birth ratios, birth weights, weaning ratio, wean weights, ICPs, color of calves, horned, polled calves, all that information. In terms of the bulls, how did that bull breed, the profitability by bull, what bull works with what females. Even though I do multi-sire mating, I do DNA testing to determine what bull was the father of that particular calf. It helps me to do multi-sire mating. The dominant bulls, the bulls that can perform in this mountainous harsh conditions, they come out on top, and those are the type of bulls that we want the offspring of, because we know that they are dominant, they can perform, they are equipped, and they are mating handy to be able to cover all the cows. And the more they cover, the more dominant, the more performance and profitable they are. Okay, it's also very important to utilize your blood figures to select the animals that you want to keep on your farm, and those animals that you make available to the commercial market. It is a privilege for me to utilize that information when a buyer comes to the farm and they want to select bulls or female animals, to work with them through the blood figures of each individual animal, as well as my own profitability indexes and profitability figures, where I can show them all the offspring and the parents and grandparents of that particular animal, and the profitability history of all those animals. Now, the most important rules when it comes to herd management is profitability. Make sure that you've got sustainable long-term profitability, and every decision, every action you take must contribute to long-term sustainable profitability of your farming operation and your herd. Another important rule is at all times to improve your soil health and your pasture productivity through refining your grazing practices in the long term. As a cattle farmer in South Africa today, I'm very excited if I look to the future. Yes, we are in very challenging times in terms of foot and mouth disease, the prices we are getting for our weaners, the prices we get for our larger animals. But if I look at world trades, we can see that in the United States, cattle prices are increasing, meat prices are increasing, the world population is increasing, and I think we as South African farmers, cattle farmers, we have excellent genetics that can contribute to the world in terms of improving world genetic pool. On a national scale, I'm part of the Tule Cattle Breeder Society Management Council. In 2020, a lady by the name of Dr. Florence Nerera Chukudu came to us with a proposal to set up a project to enhance the Tule about amongst new development farmers. We draw up a business plan for that project as part of the Tule Society. We went to First Rand Empowerment Fund, where we forwarded this business plan. We got approval in terms of the first draft with certain guidelines in terms of what we need to do and not to do. We went back as a chartered accountant. I was fortunate to be the treasurer of this project and help with the financial planning and financial forecasting for this project. We set up the regulatory structures for this project, a non-profit organization, and all the requirements thereof. We developed the 5-year business plan. We developed the criteria in which we're going to measure and select the beneficiaries of this project was set up. The training that needs to be done for all these developing farmers. We again forwarded that to FREF, and FREF approved our project in principle. Then we as a management council went out and we looked for certain beneficiaries that can qualify. We ended up with 11 beneficiary groups that was selected. These groups went through stringent testing and vouching to make sure that they qualify. Some of the main criteria was that they already had to have their own land, or they needed to have at least 5-year contracts. If they didn't have 5-year contracts, we helped them to sustain another additional 5 years on their leasing agreements. And then in terms of financial requirements, they had to have a financial track record, registered for tax, registered for VAT, etc. And these, we ended up with 11 beneficiaries for the scheme. These beneficiaries, and the plan was again presented to FREF, where it was finally approved. We received 21 million over a period of 5 years from FREF. We started out to purchase on all the stud auctions of our top Tuli stud farmers. We went out to purchase cattle for these beneficiaries. Most of these beneficiaries received close to R1 million worth of cattle, around about 30 female animals and 2 bulls for the different beneficiary groups. The various council members of the Tuli Society are responsible to be mentors for these different participants. Participants need to be visited every 2 months. A report needs to be generated in terms of the progress, requirements that is needed, training needs to be done with these different participants, identifying risks and helping to set up strategies to work and to eliminate these risks and improve their strengths even further. These reports are bi-monthly sent into TGI, the Tuli Growth Initiative. These reports are summarized by Dr. Florence and her team on a 6-monthly basis. Reports need to be handed into FREF. They come out once a year to come and inspect the different participants and the progress that have been made and the mentoring that was done on these participants. And we're now in the 2nd year, 2025, and there's another 3 years ahead of us where a lot of mentoring and support in terms of infrastructure, equipment that's needed, where these participants will be supported and mentored in the next 3 years to come. And I'm very proud and privileged to be part of that Tuli Growth Initiative. And I thank all the different contributors, the founding members, Dr. Florence, Dave Mullins, Stephen Mainsheert, and the rest of our board for this great project which they've set up, and I could have been part of that project.